Campbell and Jessica Scholer. We hope you enjoy the episode.
Welcome to episode 1 of Talk Rentals to Me with Kelley and Jess. I'm Jess.
And I'm Kelley.
Today's episode, we're going to talk a little bit about ourselves and introduce each other and where we've come in real estate. So over to you, Kelley.
How exciting. It's really interesting to talk about both of our stories, having totally different experiences. When I first started, I started about 7 years ago. So I actually started in a reception role. I was approached by a friend of mine at the time. I was working in retail. I was actually studying, so I was doing a Bachelor of Business and I was majoring in HR. And he said, why don't you come work here? It was so totally different, had no idea about anything about real estate. Went there and worked there for about 9 months to a year. Then I got an opportunity to work as a property manager. I kind of got thrown into that role, which is probably where I learned a lot. And then from there, because I had met Kin as our managing director in my previous role. I'd worked in one of his offices. He approached me. Actually, he didn't approach me. One of my friends approached me and said, "Hey, you want to come and have a chat?" And we met up in the most randomest place that you'll ever think of. And he's like, "I'm opening my own office. Like, would you come along?" And at that time, I kind of wasn't seeing the growth for myself where I was. So I said, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And he said, we'll start working in Geelong. And I've worked in Geelong before, for previous agencies, and I love the area. Everyone's a lot nicer in Geelong rather than the west side, which is where I was working. So I started working here, and then, 5 years later, we started as an LJ Hooker office. Probably about 3 years in, Kin actually offered me to be a director of the business. And then early this year, we actually have purchased Hayeswinckle and have merged with all these great people.
Yeah, and now we're together.
Yeah.
Good.
How about you, Jess?
So I'm coming up to 21, nearly 22 years in real estate. So I did my agent's representative when I was 17 and got a job at 18. I started off same thing on reception and just doing a bit of sales support for the sales team. That first company I worked for actually went broke, so I got made redundant. I was lucky enough to get another job as a receptionist for another agency. A couple of months into that job, the property manager left. They were struggling to recruit and asked if I would fill in at the time. I had no idea what I was doing. I was literally just quite happy on reception doing my thing. And I ended up in property management, and I have pretty much not gone back since. So I moved to another agency before getting poached by Hayeswinckle to come and work for them. So I've been at Hayeswinckle now for 12 and a half, nearly 13 years. About 10 years ago, I started at the Highton office, and then it was decided that we would open our second office being East Geelong. And I was asked to buy in, so that was my first office. So I've been a director now for 10 years, coming up to nearly 11 years since we opened that office. And then it kind of just spiralled from there. We opened Newtown, and then Highton obviously was our original office, and I got the opportunity to buy into the rent roll there, and here we are. And now this year we merged, and now you and I are together.
How crazy. I didn't actually realise you'd been a director for 10 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I started, it was such a shock at the start. I didn't think, it was never anything, I guess, that was on my mind, but I guess because we never spoke about opening multiple offices back then, it was all just the Highton office. And when the opportunity came up, I jumped at it, and here we are, and haven't looked back since.
I think that's crazy, and the one thing I've kind of noticed throughout the Hayeswinckle brand is how loyal the staff are. Yeah. Some of the staff have been here for years upon years, and obviously if you're in the industry or you're a director listening to this now, you'll understand the hard parts of trying to recruit staff and all that kind of stuff as well.
Absolutely.
But I know that we've recently had 2 sales agents that had left and then gone to other agencies and have actually come back to us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is great as a brand.
It is. It's good as a brand, and for us that have been here a long time too, obviously, we have seen certain staff come and go, and I think every business is going to go through that at some point. But the ones that we've got that have been here a long time, we're such a close-knit group. Everyone gets along really well, and it just shows by staff leaving and coming back that there was definitely something here about the culture and us as a company that people want to come back and still work. Yeah,
I think that was my concern as well, having our Geelong office mesh with everyone else. Yeah. Because we are quite a young office, and everyone is, everyone calls us the fun office. I was like, I don't know how everyone's going to go with everyone else, but they've been really great, and everyone's been getting along well, which is nice to see.
So I know I myself was worried about how the merger would go, just being that we were obviously our 5 offices and your office, and being with Hayeswinckle for so long, our culture and things like that, but I'm surprised at how well it went and how easy it was just to blend us all together. I think it went really well. And I know, like, from my perspective, it's like you and I have gelled really quickly. We get along really well. We're on the same page. And I think it's worked really, really well.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where you just kind of want to get things done.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we get along so well.
Yep.
And we have very similar opinions in that sense. I know when we did first merge, I had said to Kin, because for him, it was a very big transition, obviously, for us, being directors, looking after our offices, but I was like, you're looking after everyone.
Yep.
I'm like, that's a lot of different personalities. You're coming in as well. And honestly, I think everyone's really taken to him as well. And I generally think everyone's working a lot better together now.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. It's just gone so well and really smooth. And the personalities, everyone's just blended, and yet we're all working towards the same goal, which I think is really good.
Yeah, and getting to know everyone personally as well. And, I know that on Sunday we're going to Matt's MMA fight, and which is exciting that I get to know people a bit more on their personal level and be in their personal lives.
That's always the hardest too, is trying to get to know people in that personal level and what they do outside of work. And I think people are quite often surprised what we do outside of work, because you have that perspective, or people see you and think you're that person in suit and heels. And we've got businesses to run, but I know for me personally, that outside of work, I can't wait to get home. I am trackies, Ugg boots, like I'm that sort of person. And then it's good to see people outside of work.
Yeah. And I guess we are doing a podcast today, so I know that you do listen to podcasts. What kind of podcasts do you listen to?
I am the typical, I listen to crime and murder podcast and Joe Rogan. Absolutely, I was listening to the mushroom case on the way in, so I love a good crime podcast. I can get so involved. I read crime books and I listen to crime podcasts.
That doesn't show your personality. I don't know what does. I don't really listen to too many podcasts. Mine are probably not as exciting as yours. I feel like mine are more like self-help or like businessy ones. I know it's really boring, but there are some fun ones like I do listen to, but most of the time when I'm driving home from work, I just listen to music and just, you can just like zone out.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I just need to empty my brain for a second and
yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I love the drive home as well. I think it takes me about half an hour to get home, and usually if it's not a podcast, it's the same thing. It's music. It's that unwind before you walk in the door and start again. Yeah.
I mean, in terms of, we are pretty similar in our roles, but I guess, did you want to tell people what you do day to day?
Yep, so my role now is, as I've mentioned before, obviously I own part of East Geelong and Highton rent rolls as well. I manage the team, so I look after the rental team. I do all the new business, BDM, accounts, that sort of stuff as well. So busy every day, especially with having the offices so spread. So we've got, different people at different offices, obviously. But the rental team's really good. They've been really settled this year, and everyone's starting to really get into their groove and work in their new positions and things like that. So it's going really well. Yeah.
I think for me, because I do just our Geelong office, and I do have, it's very hard to explain to people, I feel.
Yeah.
Whenever I talk to people out of business, I'm like, okay, you got like 20 minutes so I can explain how this works.
Yeah. Yep.
I feel like even Geelong team, they were like, I don't understand. I had to like fully break it down.
Yep.
So I am a director of, I have a portion of every single office, but I do look after obviously our Geelong office. I look after all of our Geelong rental team, doing new business, doing banking, honestly just everything. It's crazy. And I think because when we opened the Geelong office 5 years ago, at that time we did have sales team there as well. And because I was the only kind of admin person there, I was actually doing sales admin. I was doing reception stuff, doing all the things that sales agents can't do. So I've learnt all that side of the business as well. But I just I have too many hats. And then it's, I'm always here to help as well. So I feel like for me, I just love to get myself involved in everything, apparently. Yeah. But I love offering that support to you and to the other rental team as well, and just trying to build everyone up and do that. And even, Noah, our social media person, while he might say no, I also do teach him a few things about Canva. So I can never describe my role in one, because I just feel like I'm a very all-rounder with multiple hats.
Yeah, absolutely. And our job and our day is, what we think is going on for the day can change so quickly. So we're quite often called into urgent things or things that need our attention or a situation happens. So it's one of those jobs where you just got to be prepared for anything at any time of the day.
So quickly. It's always Friday afternoons, I feel.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's a 4:45 call to, hey, my roof's fallen in. I'm like, great.
Yeah, absolutely. And storms and damage and no hot water and no heating, and it's that stuff we can't control. It's just when the phone call comes in, we've got to deal with it.
I think it's not as glamorous as everyone thinks it is.
No, I think certain shows on TV make real estate look like glamorous and that we just walk around all day having coffees and inexpensive suits, and it's not the case at all. It is not the case. I wish it was, but it's not.
I try to. Yeah. But it never works out that way.
Yeah. I have a plan to do that, but it doesn't work that way.
Yeah. I guess anyone that's kind of wanting to get into the industry, what would be your advice to them?
I've always said to people, just get in the door wherever you can. If it's reception, if it's admin support, if it's any of those sort of roles, get in, get your feel for real estate, because even when you're on reception, you're still an important and vital part of the business and you still get to experience what we're going through. It's just that you don't have to sort that out straight away. And I think it's really important for people to come in and have that experience before they jump into a role like property management or even doing sales full time, because again, a lot of people think that real estate is glamorous, that it's easy, that it's cruisy, and it's not. So, and I think that's why the industry has such high turnover in staff, because people come in and expect this lifestyle that they see on TV, and that's not what it is. There are some really great things about real estate, and we get to meet so many amazing people and hear so many different stories and help people along the way. But as we're all aware, there's also that side of it, that we do get abusive phone calls and we do get angry people and we do have to deal with people when they're in a really tough situation, and that's not always easy.
Yeah, and I think different areas, especially, because we are a Geelong-based business, there are different areas of Geelong where, the demographics is a lot lower, and the people that are kind of living in those areas are affected by, a lot of different things in their lives, that it does become dangerous for us. Yeah. And I know that, we have a property right now at the moment where the owner's just kind of left it because he's actually going to knock it down, and we've had squatters in there 10 times.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, and that's the stuff we deal with. And they're also like, oh, can you go out and check the property? It's like, well, hang on, it's not just up to us to put ourselves at risk either with some of these properties, because it does happen. Yeah. That it shouldn't be just up to us to go out and experience that. Or, you can walk into a property and not even realise that, we've had that before. And again, in 20 years, I've had so many different situations. But yeah, we've walked into a house and somebody's there asleep, just a squatter and things like that. And it can be quite frightening.
Yeah, the situation is I've had kind of squatters in a house, but I wouldn't say I technically have walked in, right, because they're there. Yeah. But maybe we could do a whole episode about squatters.
I think it would be, good, because a lot of people have, I guess, not quite enough information on how that situation works, or people think that they're, about rules and regulations and what we can and can't do in that situation. So I think that's a good topic to cover in a whole episode, when things do go wrong and how we fix it. Yeah,
I think people are very interested in it if they're not in the industry. Like friends of mine that, might be in medical industries, like I might send them through, a photo or a video of something or anything like that, or talk to them about a story, and they're like, what? Yeah. That's crazy. Like, how do you do that? Yeah. To me, I just laugh. I'm like, it's just like a Tuesday. Yeah, it's just an average day. Again, every week for us is so different, and we get thrown into so many different situations. Yeah. I think the most important thing too, probably for someone looking to come into the industry, is you've got to be able to, I guess, almost switch off and understand the situation that people are in. You've got to listen to them. You've got to hear what they've got to say, and you've got to not take it personal, because quite often when people are upset about something, whether it's an owner, tenant, tradie, anybody that could be upset, it's not necessarily reflective of you or anything you've done. It's just the situation that everybody's in. So I think that's one of the biggest things that I've seen over 20 years with people coming and going in the industry, is they just don't have that ability to understand that it's not a direct attack on them, or it's not a direct problem that they've caused. Yeah. It's just they've got to have that ability to switch off and separate themselves from the situation. which is hard. I think that's very much a skill. I definitely struggled with that. And sometimes, every now and then you do struggle with it.
You still do, yeah, absolutely.
I think for anyone wanting to get in the industry, probably the same thing is that don't think it's just all glitz and glam.
Yeah, because it's not.
It's very, very far from that.
Yeah.
And I think even with a sales team also, they're not like that either.
Yeah.
I mean, we have horses in our office every now and then and...
Yep, dogs and pets and...
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's super glamorous.
Yeah.
But I guess my advice would be to have a bit of a work ethic. I think, there's, especially now within our industry, with such a high turnover, especially of property managers as well, a lot of agencies are starting to hire and train from the bottom up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is great. It's really great. Obviously, there's a lot involved in that. But I think having that work ethic really will help you progress in your career and not just waiting on people to give you what you want.
Yeah.
I love when our staff will speak to me and be like, oh, I really want to do this. Like, how do I do that? Can you teach me this?
Yeah.
Like, I literally have a training session this afternoon with one of our staff about new business. So, because they really want to learn about that.
Yeah.
And it just helps them in their career to grow. But I think if you don't take that step forward, then you're not going to grow in your career.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think too, finding something that you can relate to that person with as well, because at the end of the day, I find you can always relate to just about everybody, and you might meet someone for the first time and think, I'm not going to get along with them, but you find you do have things that you can relate to, and just be personable, be yourself. Yeah. Don't be something that you're not. Don't be this glitz and glamour that people see on TV, because that's not what it is.
Yeah, I feel like I even see some TikToks and stuff, and there's some great content out there, but some of them I'm like, I can tell you're very fresh to the industry, and I'm like, it's kind of not how this goes, I'll be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But there's so many positive things about this job too. I know for me, probably one of my favourite things is meeting new people, and when you do get that connection and then you do get the business, and then years later, they're still with you and you start to get to know them really well. Like one of our owners that we had that sold last year remembered when my daughter's birthday was every year, because I used to do all these big crazy birthday parties pre-COVID, and every year it was like, what's the theme this year? What are you doing? Send photos. And then you start to realise like, wow, these people, like you're connecting to them on a different level, because they remember that October is my daughter's birthday and what crazy theme am I doing this year? So I love that aspect of the business as well, because you get to know people. And one of our landlords that sold last year, I've had her pretty much my entire career, so probably coming up to, would have been 16, 17 years, to when she first had her baby to her daughter just about finishing high school this year. And it's like, oh my God, like we've been in each other's lives for a long time.
That was a very long time.
So that side of the business I love, because and running into people in the street and you see them outside of work, and when you start to get to know your clients really well, and tenants as well. I've got tenants of mine that are now friends.
Yeah.
They've moved on, they've got their own place or whatnot, moved out, but they've become friends, and I love that side of it too, because we have the opportunity to meet some really nice people.
Yeah, and I think it flows better as well. I feel like a lot of people will be like, oh, tenants, no. Like we're just going to treat them like this, and it's like, well, no, like they're people too. You know, everyone's rented in their life, so
exactly.
There's no need to kind of. And I know there are other agents out there that kind of act like that, but it's
they're just an important and integral part of what we do, and 100%. They shouldn't be treated any less.
It's crazy to me.
Yeah, absolutely. So future episodes we'll be discussing investment tips, positive stories, some of the negative stories, I guess, some of our horror stories. Again, we'll do some things on when we've had squatters and that sort of stuff. I guess being in the industry so long, we've got so many stories, but I don't just want to focus on any of the negative ones. I want to throw in some positive ones in there. Yeah. And again, we'll start delving into suburbs, rent per weeks, how the market's looking and things like that moving forward. But this episode, was just to introduce ourselves and
give a little more insight into who you and I are.
Who we are, and I guess everyone will get to know us a little bit better moving forward as the episodes start to come out.
Yeah, wonderful.
Good chat.
That's a wrap for today's episode of Talk Rentals to Me. This podcast was proudly brought to you by Hayeswinckle. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you hit follow so you don't miss the next conversation. Stay connected with us on Instagram. You can find us at Hayeswinckle, at Talk Rentals to Me Pod for more insights, updates, and behind the scenes content. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time on Talk Rentals to Me.